Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Joel, that's my mom, and this is A Stable Life. We're heading over, and she's gonna be with us for a little bit of the morning here, because she's gonna check out and see how the horses are doing. She's doing well, by the way. Looking at our rain gauge, we got quite a lot of rain last night. Inch and a half. Inch and a half of rain. And this is the last rain for a week, according to the forecast. Everything's looking good though. I don't see any erosion on the hill. The water went where it's supposed to. Donkeys are where they're supposed to be.
Good morning, boys. Hi, Buster. Hi, Rocky.
So how are you feeling, Mom?
I'm getting there, making progress. Tomorrow will be 3 weeks since my surgery. A long way to go, but the hard stuff I think is over.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. How's things going with you being away from the stable?
Well, that's really hard. I miss RJ and the donkeys and all the boys here. I miss the boarders and the activity.
All the activity, the life of being a stable owner, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm used to, so. Oh, Joel, that looks so good. Wow.
For those that didn't know, this is her first time seeing it in person.
Really, really nice.
So guys, today is going to be a little different, and we're going to be doing a nice change of pace for taking care of our horses and talking about part of feeding that I rarely show, just because there's so many other things that I show you guys. This part of feeding generally gets skipped over in the days. It's something that happens every single time we feed. In my dad's video, while editing it, I realized that I haven't talked or even showed you guys turnout. Now when I say turnout, what do I mean? I mean, you guys have seen a horse's stall door getting opened and them getting turned out, but there's so much more that goes into that than just letting a horse out of their stall. What do I mean? That question is what we're answering today. I'm pretty excited about it. To catch you up to speed, you guys have noticed all the stall doors are closed and the horses are in, and their daily care is already taken care of. All of the scratches, the rain rot has been treated, fly masks are applied, hoof hardener has been applied because it is Wednesday, all of that taken care of. So now we are at turnout. We have two pastures at our horse stable. There's the big field, aptly named, and the middle pasture, which is in the middle. And then of course there is the left and right runs, which is currently Donkeyville, where the donkeys are. So the donkeys are set and cared for. We don't have to do anything. So that leaves two pastures, big field, middle field. And those two pastures are what we are turning the horses into. So let's set up the barn for turnout. So our horse stable has 3 entrances for horses and 3 exits for horses. There's technically a 4th entrance, but that's people only, so the horses don't go that way. The first entrance / exit is the big field entrance. The second entrance is the middle field entrance. And the third is the main entrance or exit for the stable for the horses. This is where the horses go on trail rides, up to the riding arena. And it's also the main entryway. The tractor comes into the barn for grain. However, through some clever engineering, this entrance is also an entrance to the middle field, which is where we are going to be getting started. We open up these 2 doors, lock them in place, and then we have 2 gates. This gate opens things up so when horses are coming out of the barn, they're corralled into the lower arena, which is the entryway for the middle field. This gate is the service entrance for the middle field. This is generally used for equipment. Rarely is this used for main feeding purposes, aside from equipment going in and out of servicing the pasture. We'll be using this entrance later when we're working on that tree. So the first horse that we actually turn out on mornings, because in the evenings it's different, and we'll talk about that later in the video.
Whoa, I'm not in this video. But while I'm here, did you hit that like button?
Is this gate is swayed. So now we have this gate open, but there's one thing to keep in mind. So we need to make sure that this door is closed. Otherwise, when we turn out Suede in the middle field on that side, he can loop around and come in this side, come in the barn, and make a left or a right. If he makes a left, he could get in the wrong pasture, causing us all kinds of problems. So now that we have the middle field set up and ready, we'll let Suede out. Now, Suede is the only horse on this side that goes in the middle field. Currently, that's just how it is. And it's only after all of those things are established that we are now able to let Suede out. Suede knows right where to go. And you'll also notice the water for our horse stable is strategically positioned. So the second they leave the barn, water is right in front of them, which is where Suede's going. Now that that's cared for, we'll close this gate, locking the middle field completely off, and then we'll close these doors. These doors act as a wall that keeps mischievous horses from causing problems and escaping. Keeping in mind, once they pass these doors, there's no fence to stop them. And there's a public road up there. And some people that move into the area do not understand there are horses here, and they drive on that road as though there's never anything that's gonna jump out in front of them. I don't need to go any further on that, and you guys can understand why we don't want the horses getting loose out there. Suede's not the only horse that gets turned out in the middle field. We have a couple more horses, such as Tucker, Duke, Obi, Argento, Skywalker, Weather, Spitfire, and Casino. But all the other horses get turned out in the big field, and that's for the morning. In the evening, it's a completely different system. So we changed the barn to make sure the horses can be led out without us needing to lead each horse out independently. Everything's cleverly engineered so the horses can follow a straight path out with no options other than the destination they need to go. So we are temporarily switching from the middle field to the big field. You notice that the big field is open, and now we can let out all these horses. Sriracha, Champ, Archer, George, and Declan. Now we will pause right there. We just let out 5 horses. Let's follow them and see where they're going. We'll follow good old Declan. As you can see, every stall door is closed, and this is the entryway to the middle field, also closed. There's only one way for them to go, and it's right into the big field. What's waiting for them when they get into the big field? That's right, water. You guys know that water trough very well. We set the camera up there to film the horses going out for water all the time. And this is why we pause. We let these 5 horses get a drink, and then once they are satisfied, they head out into the pasture. And I get comments on this all the time. This is not the only water source for all of the horses, but we position the water sources so that the horses get their drink before they need to go out. If they need another drink, they are welcome to come back and get a drink here or in any of the other water sources that are on the other side of the pasture. Natural water sources, such as streams and ponds. But most of the horses will drink usually 5 to 6 gallons of water right here, and then they will be out for the day, only to come back for evening feeding. We'll go right into the barn, and when they're turned out in the evening, they drink again, which you'll see later in the video. So we're gonna wait for these guys to finish drinking, and we'll turn out the next batch of horses. All right, some time has gone by, and now Champ is the only horse drinking. We can see Sriracha and George have both finished, so we're good to turn out more horses. Now here's where things get a little different, because as we're working our way through the stable, we have horses that are higher in the pecking order over others. And as my dad brought out in his video, those horses guard the water bowl. It's just an instinctive thing that they do. It's not nice, it's mean, but we can work with that, keeping that in mind. Those horses that we need to watch are Danny, Suede, Poe, and Roni. Those are the horses that you have to keep in mind. Now, we let Suede out so early, he's alone. So he'll get his drink of water, and then there's nothing to guard because he's already satisfied and there's no horses around. So he leaves the water. By the time we're ready to turn out in the middle field later on, water bowl is good and ready for those horses. As for the big field, Danny's gonna be the next horse, but we're gonna skip over Danny to ensure that the rest of the horses are able to get a drink, and we will turn out Danny later. So next up, we have Gavin. We'll be back for you, Danny. Jack, and Poncho. Now it's here where we can actually pivot from turning out into the big field. We'll let those horses get their drink, and we'll pivot to the middle field. We open our entrance, and it's here we'll put up a divider rope. And this is something that's very interesting with horses. You'll notice a lot of the things that are guardrails, so to speak, really can't stop a horse. I mean, this is just a rope. If a horse wanted to, they could run right through this, jump over top of that, and break it. But because it's there, because it's an obstacle, this feels like the natural choice. I'm not gonna try walking over this rope or through it when I know that I can go that way. And that's where training comes in. All of our horses know that there's an easier option to go, and if they go that way, then they're gonna be in trouble. And as we can see, Suede's not there anymore. He's down eating food. So let's let out Tucker and Duke. Have a good day, Duke. Now it's at this point that we've gone through just about half of the stable, and there's only one horse that's still in, and that's Danny on that side. And now we have all of these horses to work with, and here's where things get interesting. With those two horses out, we're now gonna close off the middle field entrance, keeping in mind we can't have horses mixing from these herds. Some of these horses are known in both herds, but others aren't, and we could have a big horse fight take place if the wrong leader goes into the wrong herd. All out chaos, and we do not want all out chaos. So now we will take our rope and hang it back up, and we'll go check on our big field water trough and see how things are looking. Yeah, they're all three still getting a drink. Actually, it looks like Poncho and Gavin are done, and Jack's getting a drink. That means we can let out our first leader, Danny. Okay, now the next leader that we'll be turning out would be Poe, but we're not gonna let Poe out just yet. Go ahead, Danny, you got it from here. And I'll keep the rope on me. Now that Danny's out, let's take a look at our middle field and see how things are looking. We got an empty water trough. Both of our horses are down eating. That means we're good to turn out more horses. We'll open up our door and reset our rope. We won't be hooking it here, but rather over here. Now we have the rope up as a divider. Horses are coming from this direction this way, have a clear path on where to go. Now to help things out down here, when I let a horse out, I will close their door behind them after they go. That way I don't have to continue to lead out horses. Hey, Casino. Okay, so we'll let out Casino. Close that door. While we're down here, no one's drinking, and look at this. We've got horses coming out, and look who's pushing them down the hill. That would be Danny, casually nibbing on Jack. All right, we're gonna let out Spitfire, who is a leader of the middle field, and Weather. So you can see Spitfire pushes Casino out. Oh, and don't worry, you'll be seeing horses drooling. That just clover is in full bloom right now here. They produce a lot of saliva. And the horses just drop it out of their mouths. Gross, but no biggie. He's out. Now we'll pivot back to the big field and we'll let out William, Roni, and Rebel. I'm gonna stand right here so William can't go into the middle field. Now Roni's another leader, but Roni and William are practically brothers, so we let them out together. And Rebel does not care about either of them, so we let Rebel out with him. Come on, Rebel. Out you go, buddy, out you go. We can see Danny is making his way down the hill. Rebel's getting a drink, and William and Roni left already. So now we'll let out the rest of the horses for the middle field. That would be Skywalker, Argento. Come on, buddy, you're good to go. All right, looks like Argento needs a little encouragement. Come on, big guy. As you guys know, he currently has an abscess that he's working through. It's very good for him to continue walking. So we don't baby him while he has an abscess. We let him out there and walk. It's good for his hoof. And lastly, we have Obi. Have a good day, Obi. And that would be the last horse for the middle field. All we have left is Poe and Samson for the big field. So we will take our rope down. Hey, Poe. Yeah, come on, buddy. There we go. And as you guys can see, nobody's at the water bowl. That means Poe's good to get a drink. And then we'll let out Samson. There you go, big guy. Yeah, I know. You have a good day. 2 more hooves. 2 more hooves. Come on. So close. 1, 2. There we go. And now all of the horses are turned out. But we're not done yet. Now we will close the gate that connects the barn to the big field, sealing the big field and keeping all the horses in the fences, where we can see they're all out grazing and having a good day. All the horses have left. They're all heading down to go eat out of the middle field. A couple of them are still checking out that tree that Gavin and I cleaned up. So now we close the entrance to the middle field, sealing the middle field, and leaving the barn open for people that come down without the possibility of horses getting out or causing any problems. Both pastures are sealed, and now there's only one job left for us to do. Cleaning. We gotta clean the barn. This is something that's done every single day at the stable, so let's go around and see what we got. Looks like we have presents from Rebel, Gavin, Declan, George, Archer, and Sriracha. Not too bad. Usually each stall has about 1 present for us to clean up, and then that's it. And then we do the same thing for evening feeding. Okay guys, we are hopefully gonna be getting the final pieces of this tree taken care of today. We've got all the branches taken care of, and all that's left is the logs. Yeah, you can see it's hollow right on the inside of the tree here, so it looks like it just buckled up and gave out. But it's kind of funny that right here, it stayed. You know what I mean? Like right here's where the jelly ball is connected, and it cracked about an inch above it, coming down towards it. So I'm hoping we could keep the jolly ball here with the stump here. We'll just clean it off so the horses can't cut themselves on it. So we'll see. This is going to be a pretty demanding task for the electric chainsaw. I think we'll get it done. And now with the tractor here, I've got like a really sweet camera mount. It's really sunny out right now, and the temperature is getting warmer and warmer. All right, let's get rolling. Alrighty guys, we have this job finally completed. Took me and Gavin collectively about 3 days to clean up the tree, but we have it all polished up. So this is what's left in the wagon, this is what's in the bucket, and this is what's left of the tree. You can see that the jolly ball still stands, so the horses are good to have fun with that. And they could itch their butts on this side, which is what they've been doing. Now that job's done. Job that we didn't expect to have, but it's done. Alrighty, let's go dump this. And I have no idea what time it is. See what we're doing after this. Alrighty guys, welcome back to the horse stable where we have all of the horses in for evening feeding. And this is where we're gonna be getting started for turnout for this evening and the differences between this morning and this evening. Declan's already gotten his medicine. All of the horses have been taken care of. And one mental note before we get started is if you see a horse that has fly mask on, just know he's not being turned out with that. I just haven't taken it off. I take it off as I'm turning them out. So what's the differences? Same pastures, different rotations for the herds. To start, the middle field gets Jack, George, and Champ, as well as Rebel, Roni, and William. That's it. As you guys can tell, in the middle field for the night, there is a lot less horses than the middle field during the day. That means that the big field has quite a lot of horses that are going out. The horses that are going out in the big field are Obi, Argento, Skywalker, Spitfire, Casino, Samson, Weather, Duke, Poncho, Tucker, Poe, Danny, Gavin, Declan, Archer, Suede, and Sriracha. With it being a big field, there's quite a lot of horses that are able to utilize that space in the evening. So, what's involved with turnout and what's the differences? We remember our entrances and we remember our exits, and everything gets started on this side of the barn. We need to make sure this door is not opened. Make sure this is closed. That way the horses do not have an entrance or an exit into the middle field from this direction, and that the windows are closed for the donkeys in the left and right run, and the donkeys are set for the night, which they are. Now that the barn is set up for this side, we're ready to turn out. Similar to the morning feeding, we're gonna be opening up this gate. However, since Suede's going in the big field, we're not letting out Suede. We're going all the way up here to where Jack is. And it's here where we can let Jack out two ways. Way number one is what we have set up, which is this direction. Way number two is this direction, setting the rope up and going across. Some people that feed will let Jack out this way. Personally, I like letting Jack out this way, and I'll show you why in a moment. For now, time to let out Jack. Go ahead, Jack, you're free to go. And then we got George, followed closely by Champ. Now that's half of the middle field all heading out this way. Once Champ exits, we're then gonna close the gate, and we're now in a perfect position to turn out for the big field. Keeping in mind what we learned this morning, technically we could let out Suede, but we're not. We're gonna wait till the very last horse is when we're gonna be letting out Suede. So we're gonna let out Archer. Go ahead, Archer. And we're gonna let out 5 horses. So we got Archer, Declan, Gavin, Danny, and Sriracha. And there's our 5. Okay, let's see here. Looks like we've got Danny, Archer, and Sriracha all drinking. Declan and Gavin are done. So while they're drinking, we're gonna set things up and let out the middle field, the last of the middle field, which means using our rope, hook it up, open our door, and then we'll let out Rebel, Roni, and William. And they'll head right on out into the middle field. Close our door, let those guys get a drink, and we're right back to the big field. Well, it looks like the water trough's open. Time to let out some more horses. Next up's Tucker, Poncho, and Duke. And now we wait. Looks like the middle field's all down eating, so we can close the middle field up. The middle field's done for the night. This time will be Obi, Argento, Skywalker, and Weather. Go ahead, Poe. Have a great evening, my man. See you, Casino. All right, Fire. Have a good evening, my dude. Only 2 horses to go, Samson and Suede. All right, Suede, your time has arrived. Let's let you out into the pastures. Okay, and the last horse that we're turning out for the day is Samson. That's all of them. As you guys know, we have the middle field all locked up. All we need to do now is close this gate, and we are done for the evening. All of our horses are out. They got all the feed they needed. You can see they're out grazing. Even the donkeys are out grazing. Good stuff. Before we end the video, we got a couple more packages in from our Amazon wish list. So let's take a look and see what has arrived. Arlene and Joe, thank you guys so much for the Mud Shield powder. This was very generous and nice of you. So happy to hear that Archer is your favorite horse, and that's neat to know that Archer is also the name of your grandson. Wow. Thank you so much, guys. This is an amazing gift that is really gonna help us, especially with the chainsaw and clearing up the trees. As a matter of fact, this battery was used in this video clearing up the tree. So you guys are awesome. This was incredibly generous of you. Thank you so much. And to answer your question, the Veggie Boy's grandpa, as you guys know him, Grandpa, is my mom's brother. Brian had 2 sisters, Rhonda and my mom, Dawn. Rhonda is the one that you see always in the greenhouses, and Dawn, my mom, is the one that owns and operates the horse stable. And then of course they had children, and that's all my cousins, and that's the Veggie Boys that you know them today. Brian had Matthew, Andrew, and Daniel. Rhonda had Timothy and Tyler. You see them from time to time, usually at lunch. And for those that watch the Veggie Boys channel for a long time, they're known as the Spud Kings. And then there's my mom and my dad, who had me, and I am an only child. I have no brothers or sisters, although I do view Gavin as a close brother. Gavin is only related to me by marriage. My uncle on my dad's side married Gavin's mom, and that's how Gavin's related. If I lost you, I'm sorry. That's the familial relations, and that's how my mom's related. Thank you so much again, guys. Appreciate it. And lastly, we have a forestry safety helmet that comes equipped with a head guard as well as hearing protection. And I can tell you guys, the hearing protection is quite good. It feels pretty good on the head too. It's a little top heavy when everything's on top of it, but Brandy, thank you so much. This was very nice of you, and we look forward to utilizing this out in the pastures and in the woods. Thank you again. So guys, thank you so much. You are extremely generous, and on behalf of all of us here at A Stable Life, thank you. You guys are awesome. And it's gonna be on that awesome note that this is where we're drawing an end to the video for today. If you haven't,
don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.
And as always, we'll see you in the next one.